Hey guys, it's Danny. So the question today is, why is my Phalaenopsis orchid's roots die after I repot it? And well, there isn't only one possible reason, there are several, so let's just go through them really fast. Now, the most common reason would be changing in the type of medium. So for example, you have a Phalaenopsis orchid, which was potted in sphagnum moss before you purchased it. Well, Phalaenopsis orchids create roots that adapt to the type of environment around them. And so you can have roots that are more adapted for drier environments and roots that are adapted for moist environments. Now, sphagnum moss stays quite moist, and the roots of an orchid which is potted in sphagnum moss are adapted to higher humidity levels. If you were to pot that orchid in bark, let's say, you change the whole medium around it to a more airy one, and the roots are not adapted to that type of airiness around them, so they would require more moisture. In time, the orchid will grow roots that will be adapted to bark, but the older roots which are not adapted to this medium might actually die. Now, what I like to do is to make the transition easier, and I try to keep the new medium more moist than I usually would, which means watering it before it actually becomes dry. And in time, I try to harden the roots in a way. It doesn't always work, but it does make the transition easier, and most roots usually make it. If you, however, transfer an orchid from bark medium to bark medium, provided the roots are healthy, you should not have this issue. Another possible reason is that the roots you actually left on your orchid were not as healthy as you thought. They were actually pretty damaged, and they would have died anyway. And sometimes it's hard to identify which roots are very sick and which you should still keep. But it very often happens that most roots will be okay, but you'll sometimes have a few roots that actually managed to die, simply because they did not show how damaged they were when you repotted this orchid. In this case, it doesn't necessarily mean the orchid has a problem or that you did something wrong. It might be that the roots were already about to die and you just simply couldn't tell they were sick. Personally, I do like to remove them, especially if they're on the top and I can clearly see they're dead. So if you ever encounter such a thing on your orchid, you are very safe to cut them. Another possible reason would be the extent of damage the roots sustained while you repotted the orchid. Sometimes roots can get really pot bound. They can attach to the pot and between each other and so on. So when you remove the orchid from the pot, there is a chance you are damaging them. The more you damage the roots and in more places, the less chances they have to actually survive. So if you're dealing with a very pot bound orchid, very attached orchid, maybe was in clay, and you manage to damage portions of the root, there is a high chance that the entire root will die. What I like to do before repotting is to actually soak the entire medium and the roots themselves as well. This will make them a little bit more flexible. Also, squeezing the pot before you remove the orchid from the pot will help as well in the case of plastic pots. But sometimes it is inevitable that we need to damage the roots. In this case, some of the roots might not make it. And the last valid possibility would be that you didn't care for your orchid properly. It's okay, we've all done it, and this is how we learn. So if you watered your orchid way too often, you might have actually suffocated the roots. Or if you didn't water the orchid enough, you might have desiccated the roots as well. So in this case, just make sure that the care you're providing is correct. And if you don't know how to care for Phalaenopsis orchids, I do have a tutorial. You can click right here and you can view it. And also, your orchid is not necessarily going to die. If you correct the care, it has great chances to actually bounce back really fast. Phalaenopsis are actually pretty hardy orchids. And by the way, if you're wondering what's going on with my orchid and why it looks like that, feel free to check the info card on the screen right here or the description below and you'll learn what happened to this one. In most cases though, provided that you have a healthy orchid to start with and healthy roots, there won't be too many dead roots. And soon you will see new growing tips coming from the older roots as well, in the case of Phalaenopsis orchids. So thank you for sending in this question. Hope this was useful. If you have other questions for me for videos, just leave me a comment down below and I'll try to make a video for you. Subscribe to my channel for daily orchid videos, and also feel free to suggest other topics if you have something in mind. If you'd like to send me a letter or a package, you can do so at the address you see on the screen and also in the description below. If you click on the left side of your screen, you're going to be directed to orchidnature.com, where you'll find care sheets, identification sheets, and also you can talk to us in the forum section. And on the right side of your screen, you can click to watch another orchid video. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye!